know how to play Quarriors. We're going to take a look at it in our counterpoint review.
Because Mike and I agree about the game, we're going to roll to see who argues for it and who argues against. If it's even, I'll take the pros, and if it's odd, he will. It's odd, again.
Why do you hate games so much, Tom?
They're too much fun.
Apparently. But you know what? This one is too much fun because there's practically no setup time in this. You just pull the dice out of the tin, throw them on the table, organize them, and you're ready to play.
Organize them.
But seriously, compared to other deck builders, this one's setup time is nothing. I love Thunderstone, I like Dominion, but setting them up takes a lot of time. Ascension is quick, but that's a different animal altogether. This one, you get the same kind of experience where you can choose from a nice array of cards to buy or dice to buy, but because every card has the 3 different versions, and that kind of builds your set for you. You don't have to worry about a bad set coming out of the random element, and you don't have to worry about digging through all your little selector cards in order to find the cards you need.
That's a really great feature. Setup time is one of the big problems I have with games like Thunderstone.
And cleanup.
Unfortunately, this one has a problem that those sort of alleviate, and that is there's too much luck in these dice. So not only are you going to roll every turn, and not any one face is better or worse than any other face. Like obviously, 2 quiddity is better than 1 quiddity, but still, if you get a lot of quiddity, that's good, and if you get some monsters or something, that's good. But it's not necessarily what you need on that turn. And the dice you're pulling from your bag is a luck factor too. So if you're still trying to build your dice deck and you're still pulling out the assistance or just the quiddity, your options are a little limited, and it just sort of hinders the deck building element.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people lose this game because they roll all creatures and can't summon anything. Their turn is done. Or they never roll their big creatures. They just keep hitting on the quid side and they can't make any headway.
Yep.
But, that said, it's nice that this game does have that luck, and that you do sometimes just lose to luck. But it's okay because you can replay it so many times that eventually you're going to win because the replay value is so high. This is by far, of the deck builders that I'm familiar with, the most complete right out of the initial set. The Thunderstone base set's decent. I don't like the Dominion base set. This one, it feels like a complete game in the tin. It's certainly right for expansion, but this one, because you have about 15 different dice, and each die has 3 versions or 4 versions for the spells, there's a lot of replayability. There's a lot of different combinations that come up right out of the initial tin.
Yeah, replayability is huge for this game, especially the different spell versions, the different creature versions increase that
And you know what? The dice are a little more complex than I think some of the other base games. The base Thunderstone and base Dominion, they kind of hedge a little with their effects. These have really fully fleshed out effects, really unique abilities. Like the Primordial Use, that would never be a base set Dominion card. That's a great base set Warriors card.
Yeah, the replayability, the effects, those are all great elements. Something I think the more you play it, though, you're going to realize a little farther down the line that a lot of the choices you have to make regarding what to purchase with your quiddity, those are what we're going to maybe talk about later is false choices. And that is the idea that each turn you're just basically going to want to buy the most powerful thing you can. You might have a decision between 2 things that are equally costed, and you'll have to evaluate which one is the better buy, which one is the better for your situation. But for the most part, you're just going to buy the biggest thing you can afford each turn, whether that's a spell or a creature. And that just sort of, again, removes part of the element of deck building if everybody is going after the same things.
That's absolutely true. The upside of that is because the choices aren't as meaningful as other deck builders, because it's more luck based, the game is actually a little more inclusive. This one is kind of a deck builder light. I like to have it in my collection because I can play with my little cousins. I can play with friends who aren't really into gaming. You can play this one with anybody, and they don't have to have a great level of investment. Yeah. You don't have to go through as much teaching as with Thunderstone. They can get some of that same feel in a lighter version that they can be a little more competitive in.
Yeah, inclusive, it's true. You can play it with people who aren't as involved in gaming and aren't as into tactics and things like that. But at the other end of the scale, you get the hardcore gamers. They're going to quickly point out some of the problems in the balance scale of these cards, particularly the dragon and the demon, right?
Yeah, the demon from the first expansion.
Right. Yeah, they're first expansion. They're just off the charts powerful. First person to get them out on the field is going to win, usually.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. But On the whole, now that we've done our points and counterpoints, what do you really think of it, Tom?
I do like this game. I think it's a really interesting game. I said before that I'm not really into deck builders, but like you said, this is a deck builder light that I think I can really get into. Plus, I love dice. This game's got plenty of dice. That
Sounds like it's right up your alley.
Right up my alley. I do have the same concern. Like in your game, you take out the dragon and the demon. I haven't really played this enough to make that decision for myself yet. But I think the more I play it, the more I would realize I have to do something about that. I'm just not 100% convinced that this is a really awesome game. But I do want to buy this game. I am going to buy this game. And I can imagine that I would play it a lot because it does have a lot of replay value. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Solid score. This one, I've gone back and forth on it. This, I think, was a little bit of a flash in the pan game. I know people were really stoked for this one at Gen Con, myself included. And I liked it for a while. I was really into it. I played it a lot. It started to kind of wear on me, I have to say. It does have good replay value. It's not like I got sick of the combos or sick of the cards in the set or anything. It felt like there was just, once everyone had played it a bit, we felt like it was so predominantly luck. And in a game like this, that's pretty damning because, with deck builders, I really like the skill involved. I really like feeling I'm building something unique. With this one, I feel like it's, I'm not really doing anything different than anybody else. And it's pretty much the first person to hit the right things at the right times runs away with it. Like you said, I had to house rule out the dragon and the demon. I've taken out a few things since then. They're also huge in the expansions. And I always want to play to a little bit more glory than it actually recommends. I feel like the game ramps up a little better if you play to 20 with 3 players. So I kind of up the numbers on there. For me, this one is a little like Grimoire. It's better than average. It fills a place in my collection. It's deck builder light, but I don't love it. I don't feel like I want to bring it out with my hardcore group, whereas I think other light games I can enjoy with them. This is going to get a 6 from me.
All right. That is our review of Quarriors. Get ready for the Quake Down. And now we have the breakdown of Quarriors from designer Mike Elliot and WizKids. Quarriors is a short game. It takes maybe 30 to 40 minutes to play, so we give it 80 short and 20 long. Each turn is short, and you are fairly interested on your opponent's turn even if you're not active, so we give it 65 fast and 35 slow. There's lots of luck in how the dice roll. There's some skill in spending your quiddity, so we give it 75 luck and 25 skill. The big choice you're going to make each turn is to whether to summon or purchase, and usually when you purchase, you're just going to buy the biggest and best thing you can, but there is some strategy to spending your quiddity to combo creatures and spells, so we give it 80 tactics and 20 strategy. It's mostly independent gameplay, but the only way to prevent another person from scoring is by interaction, so we give it 40 interaction, 60 independence. We give it 35 immersion and 65 abstraction. Almost all the creatures are evocative of the archetype they're trying to portray, but there's not much else that fits the theme in the game. Quarriors is extremely easy to learn, but the changing cards between the games can add an element of difficulty, so we give it 80 simplicity and 20 complexity. We give it 45 portability and 55 grandeur. It's a very compact game and all the components look good, and even though it's a very small box, the box's shape makes it more prominent on your shelf. We give it 50-50 for expandability and completeness. There are plenty of ways to expand the game, but once again, it's a completely viable game if you choose not to expand it. For our trophy scales, we give it 5 trophies in originality. It's a unique deck builder that uses dice in combat, and it serves as deck builder light in your library. For value, we give it 4 trophies, just because there's a lot of dice for the money. Mike gave it a 6 out of 10, Tom gave it a 7 out of 10, and that is the breakdown of Quarriors.